Welcome to the Poor Man's Gourmet Kitchen, where we share gourmet recipes at a low-budget wonder. Now check this out.
Here I've got several russet potatoes, and because I like to leave the skin on, I like to give them a good rinse and a scrub to make sure all that dirt lifts away. You're more than welcome to peel your potato if you prefer, but that's really where all the nutrients are, so I like to keep the skins on. There are several different ways, however, to make shredded hash browns, but the secret to doing it this way is water. We are going to wash, rinse, and rinse again, parboil, cook, rinse one more time before we even get cooking hash browns. And you'll understand more about that as we move along. Now, as you can see, I'm cutting all of these potatoes in half. Helps me to move along a little bit faster. You can, of course, use the hand grater, but lucky me, the wife bought me a food processor last Christmas, and it came with these nifty little grater blades. But if you don't have one of these, just use your hand grater. But just know, as these potatoes are shredding, they're oxidizing as well. And if you're grating these by hand, after every potato, you want to put that shredded bunch into some cold water to stop the oxidizing. A food processor, however, will cut them so fast that 6 to 7 potatoes will be done in under a minute. Then I could add the grated potato to a waiting bowl of cold water. And I treat this in the way that I would cook steamed rice. I give it 3 rinses. This will help cut the starch out of the potatoes so they're not so sticky when they're cooking. And it's just a real simple process to just give it a nice good rinse, work through it with your hand, and pour the water out each time. And by the time you do it the third time, the water should run out pretty clean. Doing it this way will create a real nice, loose, fluffy hash brown. But if you prefer a patty and potato shreds that stick together, give it only 1 rinse. And just to prove the oxidation has been removed, look at the leftover shreds from the food processor compared to our rinse. It's a big difference. Now over on the stove, I've got a pot with some boiling water. I'm going to drop these potato shreds right into it, and we're going to do what's called a parboil, which means we're not going to cook these potatoes for very long, a minute at best. What this does is help ensure that the shredded hash brown is cooked all the way through when we pan fry them. Now all you have to do is pour the water out through a large strainer. At this point, it's real important to run some cold water through the potato shreds and stop that cooking. These shreds will turn to mush if you don't. And just as equally important to cool these off, you want to get all of the water out of these potatoes after they're rinsed. You can squeeze the water out by hand or even twist it up in a cheesecloth if you prefer. But I'll even let these hash browns sit in this strainer for a half an hour all the way up to a full hour to make sure all of that moisture is gone. And I use the handle side of my wooden spoon to fluff them up a bit, make sure they get a little more airy. Now if you like, you can throw these in a Ziploc bag like I'm doing here the night before you want to have these hash browns. But make no mistake, this is not the recipe for freezing shredded hash browns. Now in a hot pan, I'm going to add some butter. And just as soon as that's completely melted and surrounds the entire pan, I'm going to add a plate of those shredded potatoes. Now the entire cooking process will take about 20 minutes. But I start out flattening all the shreds evenly throughout the whole pan. Add salt and pepper, and I'll let that cook for about 5 minutes before I even come back and touch it again. Then I'll come back, give it a good toss, and repeat the same process. It's that easy. Sometimes I'll even add some onion and some chopped bell pepper, but after 4 or 5 times of flipping, you can go ahead and serve. Sometimes I like to add cheese or sausage gravy right over the top, but I think today we'll just stick with ketchup. And there you have it. Shredded hash browns right here in the Poor Man's Gourmet Kitchen.
Thank you for watching, and be sure to stop by PoorMansGourmetKitchen.com for more recipes and exact ingredients.